Douglas played a voicemail left by Morris on her cell phone that stated, "I'm going to whip your," so that's his girlfriend, that you left this message that you were going to whip her, you know what, and you were going to beat her, you know what, and that she was to say that F away from your man. And all of this contact was made during the date April 30th, 2024.
Well, I never called her, and I never called him. He called me, because he the only one had my number.
Well, we're about to watch a hearing that we don't see often, and that is a female parole revocation hearing for violating of a restraining order. This is definitely unique, but what's not unique is the circumstances of the revocation. So I'll unpack it with what details Richard found at the end, and we are going to watch a series of revocation hearings today. With that, let's jump.
All right, so right now what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to read the revocation sheet. And for each thing I read, you're going to have the opportunity to say guilty with guilty or guilty with a statement or not guilty. Do you understand that? Yeah, and then after reading it, you'll get to explain your statement. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So your first one is you failed to refrain from criminal activity by evidence of your arrest on 5/10/2024 by Agent Gerard. You were booked for an outstanding warrant from the Gretna Police Department and parole violation. Gretna Police warrant number is number 60221-24. It was issued on 5/3/2024 for violation of protective order and obscene phone calls on 5/15/2024. The statute is 14:79. Charge was refused in open court via the judge on 7/23/2024. You pled guilty in the 24th JDC to the pending charge of RLS 14-285 relative to unlawful communication, which is a misdemeanor, and given credit for time served. How do you plead on that one, ma'am?
Well, that I've seen talk on phone, I plead not guilty on that. Because I never sent no text to nobody.
Okay, so you're saying guilty, but it's with a statement. Is that correct?
I said,
You would come back and ask about the state. You say guilty.
And you can explain yourself a bit better later because you're trying to say no text, right? Okay.
I said I'm not guilty on that because I never sent no text.
All right, so not guilty. Okay. So violation of number 7 is you failed to truthfully and promptly answer all questions directed to you by your parole officer, Agent Gerard, on 5/6/2024. Agent Gerard listened to a live conversation between you and your ex-boyfriend, Charles Humbles. The agent heard the offender say that she intentionally lies to police and parole officers to get Mr. Humbles in trouble. How do you plead to that one?
I plead not guilty on that because I never really talked to
Okay, now wait a minute. We're going to let you talk later and explain it. But right now, you're just pleading guilty or not guilty, okay? So your plea is not guilty. Okay, and then number 10, you failed to pay monthly supervision fees by evidence of your arrears of $570. Is that guilty or not guilty?
That's not guilty.
Okay. All righty. All right, so we're through that right now. So right now, we're going to have to ask you questions and let you explain yourself. And I am the person that has your case today. So please explain to me why you feel like you're not guilty for your violation of the protective order with the obscene phone calls. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wait a minute. No, did you get the questionnaire? There's a questionnaire that should be around in front of you that, oh, do you see it? That asks whether or not you're going to obtain counsel. Do you see that?
I did. I do have a lawyer.
Okay, but they're not there today?
No, I don't see him.
Okay, all right, but you have your own attorney. Do you want to postpone? Do you want to
No.
postpone for later for your attorney to be able to be present with you?
The man said he was gonna be here, so why would I want to postpone my thing?
Continue. Continue. Do you want to continue it to another day?
Yes or no, ma'am?
Yes or no? Gotta
No,
answer.
I'm gonna go ahead and continue.
Are you gonna go ahead and, continue with our comment? Okay, you
Yes.
do not want to wait for an attorney. You want to go ahead with your hearing. Is that correct?
I'm saying, why would I want to wait for him when he said he was gonna be here?
I don't know. So your decision is you want to go ahead with your hearing without an attorney today, correct?
This whole.
Okay, well, because you're so indecisive about it, we're gonna continue, we're gonna put it for a different date. And then you can talk to your attorney.
Well, in September, probably.
All right.
Okay, so you're gonna continue here?
So you're gonna continue the hearing. We don't have any way to fix the date. I don't know when it's gonna be, but your decision is to do it at another date when your attorney can be there, correct?
No, I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay, well, let's move on. All right, so you were in violation of your protective order by obscene phone calls to Mr. Humble, and you say no. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you do understand that he had recorded messages from you with profanities to his girlfriend that was recorded on 5/3/24. And he brought them to Agent Gerard's office. And the offender said, and he listened to it, that she often lies to the police in an effort to get him in trouble and get him arrested. So that was actual calls that they listened to.
You talking about the phone calls?
Phone calls, that's right. And you leave
To
messages
who? To him or to
to
my?
him and her.
Well, I never called her, and I never called him. He called me, cause he the only one had my number.
Well, that's not what they say.
Well, I never talked to her. And when we was in the car together, when I was in here the first time when he hit me, my stairway order was dropped when my charges and stuff were refused the first time.
He's got a permanent stairway order with you, a permanent one.
Oh, well, that's not what my PO had told me.
He's got a protective order that I'm looking at right now, signed by the judge. And it was all these conditions shall apply. You are ordered not to abuse, harass, assault, stalk, follow, track, monitor, or threaten the protected person. It says you are to stay within 200 feet away from this person, and you're not to have any third-party communication with this person by way of written, telephone, electronic, text messaging, any kind of social media. It goes on and on and on. In other words, stay away from this guy and leave him alone. And that's what he wants.
Well, he had to stay away from me because every time I want to call the police, he always said, I have a warrant out for my arrest. So they give me a chance not to talk to the people because I feel like they're going to arrest me because of what he said. I don't call him. I don't go around him. I stay in Oakwood, Two Oaks apartment, and he got a family member that stay back there. So that means I have to leave from back there where I lay my head at for him to come back there.
You have to stay away from him, 200 feet. That's what the protective order.
I don't go around him, period. I don't go around him, period, at all. Even when I'm sitting on my porch smoking a cigarette, he put up. I don't have a car to go around him.
He's got the voicemails. And then one time when he was reporting it, you called in.
What I
called
say?
in on the phone. Okay, let's see what you said, because he put you on speakerphone so that they could listen to it. Let me see here. I got See if I can find it. But he's got your text messages. Let's see, voicemail that you left. Let's see, violent version. Douglas played a voicemail left by Morris on her cell phone that stated, "I'm going to whip your." So that's his girlfriend. That you left this message that you were going to whip her, you know what, and you were going to beat her, you know what, and that she was to say that F away from your man. And all of this contact was made during the date April 30th, 2024 through May the 3rd of 2024.
April the 3rd, me and him, we was together. We were sitting in a car when I left my.
Harassed. All right, so based upon what he's got, which is his evidence, as far as I'm concerned, you're in total violation of the protective order. Now, the second thing is,
well, my stay away order was dropped when I went in court, May 15th.
well,
that stay away order was April the 1st, and they refused that in court. But my PO told me that I ain't had nothing, no stay away order, no nothing. That stay away order was dropped. So I don't know where he get that stay away order.
We're not going to argue about it because you protect it, because this is your agent that has said that you're in violation of that. Okay, has written this up, and that's why you're in jail.
Well, he told y'all one thing, he telling me another.
Okay, all right, you can take that up with him, with your attorney. And then on number 10, it says that you're in arrears of $570, and you pled not guilty to that. So are you?
I have a job. I had a job when I was out there. I got hired at Popeyes.
Okay, so did you pay your?
I was going Friday on the 10th for my orientation, but he told me to come in to sign a stairway order. But I got arrested in the office. He arrested me in the office. So I ain't had a chance to make my money to pay him. Okay,
so in other words, you are in arrears for $570. Am I correct?
That's what he told me.
Okay, and so
but I did pay when I got out of St. Gabriel. I paid January. The $65 when I first had my other parole office.
Okay, but now you are in arrears. That's what it's saying. That's what we're talking about today and at this time. Okay. So I'm going to ask Mr. Prater, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Tillis, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Okay, is the board ready to vote?
I am.
Okay, I'm ready to vote also. Ms. Morris, I find you in violation of number 4, which is the violation of your protective order, and I find you guilty. I find you guilty of number 10, which is you're in arrear of your supervision fees. So my vote for you today is to revoke. Mr. Prater, how about you?
I concur for your with those reasons.
Okay, Mr. Tillis, how about you?
My vote is to revoke.
So y'all gonna revoke me on fines and fees?
Okay, Ms. Morris, you're in violation of Okay, we're going to close out at Jefferson at this time, and it's 10:54. And your decision is to revoke.
Y'all have a good day.
So what I have to do on my time?
Okay, I mean this was kind of funny, right? I'm sorry. I just the way that Miss Stapleton handled the whole thing. She's not your run-of-the-mill grandmother. I know she might look like, soft spoken, but she's got a Southern style to her that is you don't want to mess with her. I mean, I really love that kind of like sense of humor. How at the beginning with the attorney there, which is you could take it up with your attorney, because I mean, let's be real, she didn't have an attorney. She was like trying to play a game at the beginning. I have an attorney, I don't have an attorney. They're like, and okay, we'll just move ahead then. Oh, Okay, no, I'll just move ahead. Like it was a game. It was a game. It was, and then she throws it in there at the end. You can take it up with your attorney. And it's yeah, we don't see a lot of women revocation hearings, period, and we don't see where they have the restraining orders and DV and whatnot. And I wish I could tell you what she's originally in for. What's interesting is that once she's arrested on May 10th, it seems that Richard has a notice that it was for obscene talk on the phone, but I don't know if that's the actual violation versus if it was just the violation of a restraining order. I do see in other information shared that she does have a theft charge. She has simple criminal damage to property, trespassing, DV. But there you have it. Sometimes you just can't make it up. I don't know how much time she has left to do, how much time she's backing, etc. But we'll keep tabs on you. Subscribe if you want to see any follow-up hearings. We keep track. If someone ever shows up for a second time, we'll play that. And we're going to jump into another revocation hearing. And with that, let's jump in.
All right, the first one is you were given a travel permit for Seattle, Washington, which was sent in on May 10th of 2023. No further contact was made with you. You were arrested on May 19th, 2024 by Washington State Police, and you were extradited back to Louisiana. Okay. You were given a travel permit for Seattle, Washington, which I think this is that it says no further comment. So how do you plead that? Because this is just saying it again. Let me make sure it's saying it twice, and it's got the exact same date. No further comment. You were arrested on May 19th, 2024 by Washington. Okay, it's just, I don't know, it just repeats itself. Okay, so how do you plead on that, sir?
I plead guilty with a statement, please.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is Mr. Prater has your case today. So he is going to ask you the first questions concerning this. Mr. Prater.
So, good morning. My question is pretty simple: is why didn't you let everybody know where you were for a year?
Yes, sir. I made contact with Miss Polk. Actually, I attempted to contact her, which the cell phone number was off at the time. That's no excuse. I could have got in touch with somebody, probation and parole, calling them. I'll be honest with you, Mr. Prater. I just got married and I got a family. After 2 days after my permit was up, I had a warrant. I called and found I had a warrant. Man to man, I just didn't have the nerve to pick up and leave my family in Seattle and come waiting down here and put them in a situation, to where maybe or whatever. So I just stayed out there and continued working, sir, to be honest with you. And I mean, it was a poor decision on my behalf, but okay. I just was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. I got a 2-year-old son, and it's just I didn't know what to do, man.
Is that your statement? We didn't give you a chance to read your statement or give your statement. Do you have a statement that might help me to?
I wrote something. Can I read it to y'all?
Yes.
Madam Chairman? Oh, yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Okay. It says, today I'm here to respectfully present my alibi about my whereabouts and reasonings to go through this process. I'm fully aware of how my actions and lack of responsibility places me in the wrong of my stipulations of parole. I've been on a straight path prior to my release, other than not checking in. I've been sober. I've never been an aggravated or violent offender. My arrests were based off poor decisions led by substance abuse. Today, I can say that I haven't used drugs since my release. I've been working with my family at the lumber company in Seattle. I'm a main provider of my household, which consists of my wife and children. Today, I'm here to ask that the parole board my parole be reinstated and have another chance to be a part of my children's lives. I made a poor decision by not contacting and being man enough to come back down here and handle my situation. Can you please take this request into consideration and reinstate my parole?
Okay, is that your statement, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You had a permit to go up there to work with your family, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. How come when the probation officer called, the parole officer called up there or called and talked to your mom said they hadn't heard from you, and your brother, who you supposed to be working up there, hadn't heard from you?
I don't have. I wasn't working for my brother. I was working for my uncle. And when she contacted my mother to say that, I'll be honest with you, I think she just didn't know what to say because she knew that they had a warrant or whatever for me. She didn't know what to say, but I was working at Compton Lumber for the whole time I was up there.
So your mom was kind of just covering for you so that they wouldn't arrest you up there, maybe. I'm not, and I'm saying that's a loyal mom. That's what a mom's supposed to do, I guess. But you think that's why it was? Is that what
Yes, sir. I mean, in all honesty, I don't want to put my mama in, saying nothing like that, but that's what I would assume.
Okay. Did your brother, does anybody written a letter, or has your uncle written a letter or done anything to prove that you've been up there working for him the whole time?
No, but he sent a letter to the people for the permit to come out there and work. And I worked. I mean, I wasn't even aware of how this process went, and wasn't aware of what date it was going to be until about a week and a half ago. So I didn't really know what to do on that part if I needed a paper, but I got a paper sent initially to go up there from my uncle to Mr. Kevin Carmouche.
You know that the parole officer was trying to get a hold of you?
Yes, sir. And I contacted Ms. Polk several times. Her phone. I even talked to her when I attempted to contact her. I even talked to her when she came up here, and she said that she had 3 different cell phone numbers within the past year. But like I said, that's not an excuse. I'm not making an excuse. I could have called up and really called the pro office and got to the nitty gritty and said, "Hey, I need to speak to her." But like I said, Mr. Prater, I was just scared, man. I'm a new father, new husband. I didn't know what to do.
Okay, that's the only questions I got.
Mr. Tillis, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Okay, well, I noticed, so you were up there a year, is that right, before you were arrested? Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It was almost exactly a year.
It was a year and 7 days.
Yeah, a year and 7 days. And you didn't show, or did you show anybody like your W-2 forms or anything like that to prove you were working during that time? I mean,
I was actually, my family owns a lumber company. So I was really doing the subcontracting, so I was really working for myself. Like when the contractors come into our lumber company, they might need like a painting job or some different things. And I would go out and work, bid a job and get the job like that and work for the actual contractor or the resident, whoever. So, I should have filed taxes on my own.
So you continue to pay your supervision fees, is that correct? I don't show that you're in arrears for anything. Did you pay them?
Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. I sure didn't.
Okay, all right. So about you're a year behind on that, is that what it was? I don't see that that was part of the.
Yes, ma'am. And I don't mind catching up with it if I can get another chance. If you can relate to me, man, I was scared. I knew. I ain't trying to keep on throwing this factor into it, but for somebody who's lived their life since the age of 17, 16, getting high, doing drugs, never been a real adult, had responsibilities and anything like that, to get my life together, married, kids, and everything hit me at one time, being sober, I just didn't know how to handle it. And I got scared. I didn't want to.
this, so you say for a whole year you've been clean, correct? And
Yes, ma'am.
so when you committed your crime, you were on drugs, which
Yes,
look,
ma'am.
that's not an excuse for that because it was burglary. And so but you were using drugs prior to that, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now you're clean a year. Are you going to anything or did you go into rehab, anything like that that helped?
I do AA.
You go to AA or
Yes,
NA?
ma'am. AA.
AA, and you were doing that in Seattle?
Yes, ma'am. I used to go. I had a home group and everything. I used to go probably twice a week.
Okay, in Seattle.
Yes, ma'am.
So in Seattle, you were clean for a year, and that's what you were doing. You were attending AA meetings. Am I correct?
About twice a week.
Twice a week? Okay. So you kind of were doing that on your own, really, and that's a good thing.
I kind of look at that kind of because I'm not gonna say unsure, but I'm kind of questioning, certain things so that's kind of like my faith type deal, I guess you could say.
Well, that's what it's for. That's what it's about. Listen, I'm going to ask for executive session at this time. Can I have a roll call, please? So what I do, I need a second. Anyone would like to? Okay. Mr. Prater. Roll call.
Pam Bacon,
Yes.
Chuck Tittis,
Yes.
Steve Prater.
Yes.
I stuttered too much, huh? Nervous.
Session at this time. The time is 11:22, and we'll need a roll.
Pam Bacon,
Yes.
Chuck Tittis,
Yes.
Steve Prater.
Yes.
Okay. Well, at this time, we're going to vote, and let's see, Mr. Prater has your case, so he's going to vote first. Okay.
Hey, my vote is I want to tell you I'm proud of you going to AA meetings. I'm proud of you keeping employment. But most of what parole is about is seeing if in fact you can follow the rules after you've been arrested or something. And it's apparent that you didn't follow the rules. My vote is to revoke.
Okay. And Mr. Tillis, what is your vote today?
My vote also is to revoke.
And then my vote is going to be to revoke for the same reasons and exactly what Mr. Prater said. Done a good thing with your life that you're going to AA meetings, but you absconded for a whole year. And that is not a message that we can send out here that people are able to do that and there's no consequences for it. So my vote today is to revoke. And so the decision today is that we're going to revoke.
Wow, he has a stunned look on his face. And look, I was going back and forth in between should they grant or not. And if I was on the board, I would have asked a few questions just to test the veracity of his story to see is he actually being honest, because that's what kept coming to my mind, which is he just a really good liar, Or is he being honest about doing everything right, about actually working, about going to AA, about staying sober? I mean, these are all things that if he was being really honest about that, I might give a break. And what I would have asked was, what's your sober date? And, you know, most of the time, people who are sober, they will be able to snap off that sober date. I would have said, well, what's the location of your AA facility? Or tell me what's step number 8? You know, like depending on those answers, I would have been able to, I think, know. And I couldn't tell, because the problem was with the story is that everything, nothing could be verified. It was all, well, I did work for my dad, and it makes a lot of sense what his mother would have said. I mean, that part came, I thought, naturally, where he said, well, she said he didn't know because she's trying to protect me. And it was interesting how the sheriff even said, I can understand that. I like the sheriff. But it's, you know, now we're going to watch the crime that he was initially guilty for. Thank you, Richard, for providing the information. And like he said, it's just not, you know, it's a crime. It's a crime, but he didn't hurt a child. You know, he didn't, you know, there's so much worse that could be done. And it's just not something that I go crazy about, right? But here we go.
Sheriff's deputies have arrested the manager of a pawn shop. That's Christopher Austenberg on the left. And deputies say he was working with a group of others, accused burglars, selling stolen merchandise. We were there yesterday at Bayou Gold Exotic Pawn Shop on Airline near Cedar Crest as investigators hauled several items out of the store and into a trailer. Austenberger faces 2 felony charges, having stolen property and organized retail theft.
People are coming together.
And as you see, you know, it's like, it's not, it's like, I don't know. I'm like, give the guy a break. If he was a roach, it'd be like, yeah, sure, let's let him free. But I mean, come on, you know, I don't know, man. But how do you feel about this? But deputies have arrested the manager of Baton Rouge pawn shop, who say knowingly obtained over $1,500 of stolen stuff. Come on. According to the East Baton Rouge Sheriff Office, Christopher was arrested after deputies found that he was buying stolen items on behalf of Gold Exotic Pawn. Remember, this is what he's initially arrested for, and then he violated his parole. Deputies first heard of the illegal dealings of the pawn shop of Airline Highway connection to the theft nearby Home Depot. They say that the offender of the crime sold the stolen retail property to the shop and went on to tell deputies that Austenberger knowingly bought stolen retail property from his multiple occasions. 2 suspects involved in the unrelated theft in February told deputies that they had stolen property. They said that he knowingly bought items they had stolen from the Sears and Bluebonnet Boulevard. So are they saying that he didn't even steal? What he did is that he was buying stolen property? The sheriff office reviewed pawnbroker transactions involving the 3 thieves and determined that he had sold 240 items, all of which he says were stolen. Among the valuable items sold were power tools, appliances, electronics, and other matching accessories. Stephen and Cook sold 58 items, most of which were similar to those sold. Many of these items are also listed as new. Deputies officials launched the investigation into the pawn shop in May. During the surveillance of the business, deputies watched 2 suspects steal items from the nearby Home Depot and then sell that stolen merchandise to the shop. The 2 thieves were arrested out of view of the pawn shop and questioned. Both admitted to stealing from the Home Depot and selling stolen goods multiple occasions. Upon request, the 2 agreed to participate in the investigation. Over the following week, the 2 conducted controlled sales of merchandise to the pawn shop that reasonably appeared to be stolen. During that week, the shop bought at least 15 of these items from the pier, which had an aggregate value of greater than $1,500. On the final day of the controlled sales, the deputies say they knowingly removed merchant label from the item that sold to the shop. Deputies soon found, records show that the shop had sold several thousand items in auctions since 2015, many of which appeared to be purchased. Could this really be the crime that he got locked up for? Maybe there are other crimes. It's just like, really? Man, in Louisiana, Harm a child, not a big deal. Buy stolen goods and sell it, you're going to prison. You know, he had a travel permit to Seattle. The bottom line is while he's gone for a year, he didn't get any new charges, not even, I guess whatever information they would know from Seattle. But they're throwing the book at him. They're trying to send a message, and this is definitely tougher than any of the other states that we're following. In Iowa or Connecticut, they would have handed him a lollipop and a free flight to wherever he wanted with a pat on the back and said, "Great job." But you tell me. I don't know. I think they should leave more beds open for those who are doing violent crimes or crimes against children, etc. Let's move to another hearing.
DOC number 770144.
Yes, ma'am.
Your age, you're a first-class offender, and it was indecent behavior with a juvenile. You were sentencing date was 6/27/22. You were sentenced to 5 years hard labor. Your parole date is 7/20/24. You're not eligible for a good time date. Your full time date is 10/20/25. Is everything I read correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's see. All right, here we're at DOC headquarters. Okay, we don't have to do that. Okay, where you're at, can the staff introduce yourself, please?
Yes, ma'am. My name is Jason Johnson. I'm the program manager for the Steve Hoyle Substance Abuse Program here and the Sex Offender Treatment Unit.
Oh, okay. It's a pleasure to meet you today.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're fixing to get started with our hearing. Let's see. All right, so we've got that. So you verified your name, Master President. Okay, what I'd like for you to do now is explain to me about your crime, sir.
I was accused of texting my stepdaughter, and I'm guilty of that. And they hit me with indecent behavior of a juvenile.
So what kind of text did you send her?
It was sexual text messaging.
Oh, okay. All right. How about any programs? Well, no, we're going to get into that later. Right now, we have somebody in support of you. We're going to hear from Mr. Howard Scott, your employer, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Scott?
Good morning.
Hi there.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Howard Scott. I've been Jeffrey's employer. He was a good worker for me, and when he gets out of jail, he's got a job waiting. And he'll have support, place to stay if he needs it. Just want to let you know that I know Jeff to be a decent person, and he's always on time, and he was always a great worker for me. And I believe that if he did do these crimes, that he's learned his lesson, and he'll have all the support to succeed. I know from me and my family. If that's any interest to the court.
Okay. All right, so he's got a job with you. All right. Here we go. Other supporters. All right, well, the board is, did I say that we're at Dorsey? I don't know if I said the location where we're at. Bayou Dorsey is where Mr. Talbert is at. I might have accidentally forgot to say that. Okay, so now we're going to start our questioning with Mr. Prater has your case today. We're going to start with Mr. Prater.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Other than being in jail, huh?
Yes, sir.
Doing all right. Okay, let me ask you something. You said texting with your stepdaughter. Your stepdaughter's how old at the time?
At the time, 16.
16 or 15?
Think it was 16. I'm not sure because I didn't keep up with her age that much. I think it was 16, but it could have been 15, but I'm not sure offhand.
Okay, did you have oral sex with her?
No, sir.
So all it is a texting deal. You were originally charged with carnal knowledge of a juvenile, indecent behavior with a juvenile, computer-aided solicitation of a juvenile, and you're saying it's just a few texts.
Yes, sir. Because they ended up dropping all the other charges and hit me with indecent behavior.
Yeah, so sometimes they have plea bargains, and they do that quite often. But it's our job to get into the real skinny of what happened.
Yes,
and I'm thinking from what I read, there was a little bit more to it than just that.
We didn't do nothing sexual together.
Well, I'm reading over the offense report, and let's see. The daughter said she did. I mean, do you remember that part?
No, sir.
So you're saying that was never said, or that was never part of the case?
I didn't go to trial. I wound up just taking a plea bargain.
Okay. So you don't know what's in the offense report or anything, huh?
No, sir. I haven't. I don't even have a copy of that report of everything that had been said. Because, like I said, I didn't go to trial.
Okay, I don't have any other questions. That will make this short and simple. You're going to get out on 10, 20, or 25 anyway, right?
Yes, sir.
Whether you get this parole or not.
Yes,
and you
sir.
took a plea bargain from 3 serious charges to 1 serious charge. And when you get out, you're going to be considered a sex offender and have to register, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, Mr. Tillis.
I see the classes you attended, Steve Harvey.
Yes, sir.
And how do you feel about those classes you've taken?
They're helping me to become a better person than what I was when I was out there in the world. Because I'm taking risk management. I've taken still in risk management, took empathy and awareness. I'm in anger management now, and I'm in a tutoring class helping tutor other inmates.
Okay, thank you. I have no more questions.
Okay, I got a few. From what I read, your best friend was involved in this, and y'all were both having sex acts with this little girl. His name is Terry Smith, by the way. He was a codependent. Does that ring a bell to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you want to tell me a little bit about that? Who was your best friend?
I haven't talked to him since I've been locked up, and the only thing I know about him and her were what I had found out before were close.
Well, you know what? He got charged too. He got charged as a codependent, and he was charged with, let me see, indecent behavior with a juvenile. Let me find that rascal. Yeah, indecent behavior with juveniles by law enforcement. It was not crossed, but she said it happened. And she said that the reason she let all this stuff happen with him was because you were her stepdad. Were you her stepdad?
Yes, ma'am.
And so I got to that she was 15 and you were 35 years old when this happened.
Yes, ma'am.
20-year age difference. You were her stepdad, and they had copies of what you wrote. Sent to this child, and it wasn't nothing nice.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you're denying a lot of stuff here. You're not owning up, in fact, to nothing. You're going with your plea bargain is what you're doing. And this little girl, she lived through all of that. And both of you men ought to be ashamed of yourselves. And yeah, just like Mr. Prater said, you're fixing to get out. And I know one thing, and I feel certain of it. You're going to register for as a sex offender, but you should never come in contact or contact this victim whatsoever. And if you see her, you should walk in the other direction. Is that something clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
No contact whatsoever.
I understand.
And she was afraid to take a pregnancy test. And I can't imagine why that was the case unless you did something to her to make her think she might get pregnant.
I didn't do nothing with her to make her get pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's the end of my questions for you. Okay, let's see. So now let's see what we do next. Is the board ready to vote?
Yes, ma'am.
All
Yes.
right. We're gonna start, okay, thank you, Mr. Tillins. We're going to start off with Mr. Prater because this is his case.
Parole is denied. I don't think you're being honest with us, and he didn't get enough time for the crime as far as that's concerned anyway. And so on those points, denied.
All right, Mr. Tillis.
I concur with Mr. Prater.
And so do I. I don't think you were honest at all with us. And I don't think you got enough time anyway. So you're fixing to get out. I hope you're a better man coming out than you are going in. And that concludes our board meeting at this location, signing off at 1:30.
Cockroach. You know, I love that Miss Stapleton and and the sheriff were there to just call him out for what he is, which is a cockroach, a lying cockroach. You know, it's great because we've seen parole hearings where the parole board members, they just don't care. They don't care. And you can see, at least here they do. They're disgusted with him. They're disgusted with the weak DA that gave him a deal. Are you kidding me? A stepfather, 15 years old? Are you kidding me? It's sick. Birds of a feather flock together with Howard Scott. You know, you want to jump through the screen when you watch these things. What is it that he said? What is it that he said? Richard actually took notes for me on this. This is the best I could pull it up. He said, if he did these crimes, he's learned his lesson. If he did this, you know, there's something, it's psychotic. Why? Again, we can get pissed off at the Roach who's their stepfather, who's bringing in his best friend and he's denying and even victim blaming and everything all in there at once. But who we should be yelling at, because roaches exist. They exist. It's just the way it is. Who we're pissed at is the weak DA. We can see there from what Ms. Stapleton is saying. They have the facts. They have victim statements. They're talking about pregnancy tests. And they give what, a 2-year deal? Are you kidding me? The guy who bought stolen goods in his pawn shop got more time. God, I'm pissed off. Yeah, he's fixing to get out. I mean, it's his custody status date. He was only arrested December 19, 2023 is when he was convicted, when he took the deal. You know, again, this is part of why we do this stuff, because the only way this changes is when the masses see it and they're going to say, DA, you know, the DAs, they're voted in by their constituency. You say, really? Really? You felt that this was the best deal you can get? Coward. You couldn't have gotten these two friends to turn on each other? You couldn't have gotten one of them to have testified against the other? No, you can only set up a sting operation when it's a pawn shop. Only then can you get the addicts who are stealing from Home Depot to set up a sting operation so you can get the pawn shop owner. That's what you'll invest your time and resources into. I get that that's the police that are doing that, but I'm pretty sure they would need a DA to sign off on it. I don't know. Can't make it up. Thank you, Richard. You know, Richard recorded these for me, put all the notes. You all know this already. I'm a broken record. For those of you wondering, who's Richard? Who's Richard? I don't know. I've never met him. I never heard his voice. He's a guy in the internet. He's passionate about you seeing what's wrong with the system. What a piss off. I think we'll do one more hearing before we head over to Mandu 2 to Connecticut. Help the channel reach 100,000 subscribers. We're trying to get.
You're a third-class offender. Your offense was first-degree robbery, amended from armed robbery. Your sentencing date was December 13th, 2006. Your sentence was 30 years in the custody of Louisiana Department of Corrections to be served without benefit of probation, pardon, or suspension of probation, parole, or suspension of sentence with credit for time served. You have a parole date. Your earliest was September 18th, 2024. You have no good time eligibility. Your full-time date is September 17th, 2034. Is that correct, Ms. Murphy?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I'm a newbie on this, so just hang in there with me, okay?
But I thought
I have to read instructions, so here we go. So the process is going to be, I would like for you to explain to me why you are in prison right now. What happened?
Well, I was on drugs and I went to a Walmart parking lot and robbed a lady for her money.
Okay, is that all there is to that?
She had an infant with her, but I didn't touch neither one of them.
You had an infant with her and you didn't touch it, but okay. You don't want to say any more than that, right? Is that what it is?
I mean, basically that was it.
Okay. All right, so let's see what we got next. All right, the warden. Would you like to introduce yourself, and do you have anything that you'd like to talk to us about concerning Ms. Murphy, please? Is the warden in there or no?
No.
You're by yourself. Okay, I'm sorry. A lot of times the warden is there. Okay, so you're going to have 3 supporters today, and they're allowed to speak about it. Okay, so we're going to get started with that. Your supporters. Let me get my list again. I'm sorry. All right, we're going to start with your cousin, Krista. Krista, will you pronounce your last name for me, please?
Yes, ma'am. It's Cotlong.
Cotlong. Okay. What do you have to say for Dana?
Okay. Like Dana said, Dana's been incarcerated for 20 years, a little over 20 years, and like she said, she was on drugs. And I'm not sure if you all, I know by being on the board that you know about it, but when you're in addiction, you do things that you don't normally do. You're not thinking straight. The only thing that's important is getting the drugs. I feel as though that Dana has attended a lot of classes. The first part of her incarceration, it was a rough start for her, which I'm sure it is for a lot of people trying to adjust. But then once she started wanting to change, her speech changed, her actions started changing, and her family, we could see the change in her. We knew she was changing just from her vocabulary, the way she talked. I believe that everybody deserves a second chance. Did she need to be punished? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, she did. I also feel as though she has served enough time for her crime. 20 years on a 30-year sentence is enough for her to have opened her eyes to want to change, to start changing. I believe she will be an asset to the community if you all will grant her parole, because Dana is a very loving person. And I feel as though she can mentor the people that are heading in the direction that she once was, that she can go and maybe talk to them, give them some of her experiences, what it's like to lose your life for 20 years behind drugs, that no, ma'am, it's not worth it, And like I said, I feel like she'll be an asset to the community. And I feel as though that she's ready to come home. Her family's ready, ma'am and sirs. I just ask you to please just give her another chance.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Cotlong. Okay, now we have Stacy. Okay, thank you. Now we have Stacy Tull, who would like to speak on Ms. Murphy's behalf.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm her cousin, Stacy. I live in Baton Rouge. I'm a nurse. I work from home. Hopefully, if she is released, she could stay with me and my husband. We have other family in the community, and everybody loves her, and we're here to support her, to keep her, make sure she stays on the right track. And like I say, I grew up with Dana from a baby on, and I know she has a good heart. She's a good person. And obviously there was a time in her life where she strayed. She had a hard personal life also, on drugs, obviously committed crime. Over the years that she's been in jail, I've kept in touch with her, talked to her about her crime and about how she is, shows remorse for doing it, wishes things were different, that she didn't go down that path. And I've talked to her about, what do you want to do to change, your life and be better. And she has done that. I feel she went into jail with only an 8th grade education, and she got her GED while she was in jail. She's taken religious and other educational classes, where she's gotten certificates and such. She's gone to church, so I feel that she is ready to come back into society if she has that chance to, just be a better person, get a job, be productive, obviously be with her family. We miss her. She has grandkids she's never met. Both her parents have passed while she's in jail, but there's a lot of family here that is here to support her, and we love her.
Okay. Thank you very much. Very much. I know she appreciates that, everything you said. Okay, Mr. Danon Murphy, the son. Danon Murphy. You want to pronounce your name? I probably butchered it. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. It's Danon Murphy.
Danon, okay. What you'd like to say about your mother?
It's kind of different, because it's my mother, and it's not that I need anybody to feel bad or anything, but you only get one in your lifetime, and at the end of the day, the truth is my mother did wrong, so she had to deal with the consequences. But like my other family members said, there is change within her. So if she decided to change and wants to be turn her life over to be a positive light in the community, like my cousin said, she can help people that she can see going down that road and help stop them. And we could never get the time back that we lost, but I always prayed that she would live through her sentence and be able to come home and be with her grandkids. We can't get the time back that we lost, but if God say the same, she could have to spend the rest of her life with the family and her grandkids. That's it.
All right. Thank you so very much. Okay. Well, we don't have any other people to speak at this time. So, Ms. Murphy, I'm going to come back to you. Would you like to tell me some more things about your life while you've been in jail, maybe some of the certificates, like they talked about, that you went in there with an 8th grade education, and now I know that you got your GED. You're in Ashland University, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I'm working towards my degree in business management.
Okay, so you're working towards it, and you've got 9 hours so far, huh?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
That's huge. You started off with an 8th grade education. Now, I saw where you started taking drugs, you said when you were 8 years old. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So what's going on with your life during all those years? I mean, to be 8 years old and start taking drugs.
Well, my mom worked at night, and I basically stayed by myself, and that's when I started smoking marijuana.
And that's when it all started?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you have an extensive criminal history, a long criminal history involving drugs, shoplifting, multiple offenses, lot of intoxication, and it all led up to that terrible day when you robbed that lady in Walmart.
Right.
Charged with robbing her and kidnapping her. And the second part of that was you held a knife to her and to while she was holding the baby, which added to your added to your crime.
Yes, ma'am.
So actually it was an aggravated crime with that. Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
And I know what you said, that you were on drugs during all that time too. So you really just, I guess, just didn't care what was happening.
Right. I had been up for days, and I just, yeah, I didn't care.
I have your case today. Your case is mine, so of course I spent a lot of time on it. Yours was the most I printed out of everybody's because it goes back so far. And something that you need to know is whenever your case was brought up before the DA, it could have been much worse. And it was dismissed. They dismissed the the kidnapping charges and reduced the armed robbery to a first-degree robbery. And that was approved by your victim because she was so emotionally upset by the victimization, she was too upset to testify. And that was 2 years later.
Yes, ma'am.
It's hard for people, I think, to visualize when I've talked to offenders when I've gone into the jail with crime victims panels, and what they tell me is, for a long time, the only thing they can think about is appeals and how they can get back out of jail and get on parole and stuff like that. And so it's hard to visualize what the victim is going through, what it put them through during that time. But a lot of times, sometimes victims stay victims, sometimes they become survivors and they're able to go on with their life. But 2 years later, this lady was suffering because that was a 4-month-old baby. She didn't expect that to happen. So it was second-degree kidnapping due to the knife. And it had been charges carried a penalty of up to 40 years consecutively. Had you been charged with all of this, the armed robbery carried a penalty of up to 99 years without the benefit of probation or parole, suspension of sentence. And it was pled down to first-degree robbery in 30 years from all. So you got to know you got a huge break. That could have been that was going to be your whole life in jail.
Yes, ma'am.
How about classes? Have you taken any classes since you've been there?
Yes, ma'am. I've taken all the classes that are required and some that wasn't. And the only thing I haven't taken is the reentry.
Yeah. What class do you find you got the most out of?
Probably the living in balance 1, 2, and 3 phase.
Now, people, I hear that a lot. What is it about living in balance that makes such a difference? Because I do hear that a lot.
It deals with the, the drugs and stuff. So
Okay. How do you think you're going to be affected? I mean, when you get out and you have that opportunity to drugs. I see you got some family support today, thank goodness. But one of the things that was a comment was that you had a propensity to violence. Of course, that was when you were in the drugs, and that your mother was a person that you victimized quite a bit. She's not with you any longer.
right. Well, I'm basically I face drugs every day in here, and I've been clean, so I don't think drugs is going to be a problem at all. I would just love, to get out and be a mom and a grandma and do productive things. I've never been a grandma before. I have 4 grandkids I've never met.
Mm-hmm. Dana, how long have you been clean? I mean, when did you make that switch? How long is that? How many years are we talking about that you went from making the switch to where you wanted to get that GED and go to college, which is huge, and say, okay, I'm going to start taking advantage of these programs? How many years ago was that?
I got my GED in 2010. So it's been a while,
Yeah, so we're talking 14 years ago that you made that switch. You went from 8th grader to GED. So that's something to be very proud of. You got opposition. You got opposition from the DA's office and the chief of police. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Well, I can go ahead and tell you the DA's office they're opposed because of the threats to stab the victim and take her baby during the robbery was particularly cruel. Sheriff is a blanket of opposition, but the chief of police, he's opposed due to the heinous nature and violent circumstances of the crimes and feels like you would still pose a significant risk to public safety. So those are 2 people that are very important that's opposed. The assistant attorney general is opposed also based upon the severity of the case, and the judge is opposed. So I'm going to pass this along right now to my fellow board member, Mr. Prater.
Yes, good morning or good afternoon now. Let me ask you, where were you fixing to take this person to? When you had the knife and you're going across the parking lot, why?
I had forgot where my ride was. I was so out of it. I forgot where my ride was and basically just walked her across the parking lot.
Okay.
One of the lanes.
Okay, that's all I had.
Hey, Mr. Chillis, what's your vote today?
I wanted to ask
not vote. I'm sorry, not vote. No, questions, Mr. Chillis.
Yeah,
I apologize.
I was asking, and I looked at her programs that she took, and I think you elaborated on it a little bit about the living in balance drug classes is what I was concerned about. And I wanted to know, were you also using alcohol?
No, sir.
Just the drugs?
Yes, sir.
So you've taken quite a few drug classes since you've been there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think you're doing good. You've done a GED and working here in college. I think that's good. I have no more questions.
Thank you.
Hey, Is the board ready to vote now?
Oh my God.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I'll give her this black. Okay, hold on. Let me see. What is going on, girl?
Ms. Murphy? I'm so proud of everything that you've accomplished at this point.
Hold on a
And
second.
you're so going in the right direction and have been now for 14 years. And everything that your family said, that you can be an asset to society when you get out, when you can talk to other people and keep them going in the right direction. I want you to continue that, and I'd like to see you continue your college education while you're in a position that you can do it. But based upon the opposition and the heinousness of the crime, I'm going to have to vote to deny today for those reasons. Mr. Prater?
Concur with your vote and reasons.
And Mr. Tillis?
My vote is to deny, and I think you need a little bit more time served on this crime, and also take some more classes, drug classes that may help you.
Can I say something? Am I allowed to say anything else?
No.
No, ma'am, it's closed. Everything is finished now. So she will have another opportunity to come back before board. I don't know exactly when. And so this concludes this hearing for today. And the board has voted to deny your parole. And I'm signing off at 1:10 from, is it East Baton Rouge Parish Jail? LCCW. LCCW, I'm sorry.
Oh my God. You know, I wish I had material to share with you. I wish there was something, but it was 20 years ago. She took the plea deal. There's no public documents. Richard couldn't find anything. So we just have to go off of the hearing. And it's like, you know, at the beginning, it starts off when you hear it's like, wow, this is, you know, first degree robbery. Well, we've seen it before. There's weird things in Utah. Utah, she would have been out 2 years ago. Weird things in Louisiana, and you know, but then of course Miss Stapleton, she does her job and she talks about the crime, and it's like you're shopping at a Walmart and this crazy woman shows up with the knife and you're holding the baby, and it's like, oh my God. I mean, there's so many people at Walmart that you can pull a knife at on. Why pick a woman with a baby? And then it's like the way that she kind of just talked about it, it was like there was nothing there. And she's trying to skirt around it and avoid the issue. And it's, you know, what's interesting though, definitely in the states that we cover on Mandu too, Connecticut, they would have paroled. Iowa, forget about it. I mean, they would have sent her out with the medal and a steak dinner and whatnot. Utah would have paroled. I mean, Louisiana's, it's interesting. In some cases, they're really tough, and in some, they're not. It's hard to really wrap. But this new board is definitely tougher than I think all the other boards. And I do like this mix of Miss Stapleton and the sheriff. I mean, she is the victim advocate. She replaced Mr. O'Shea. She really does care. You can tell she does her homework. She reads the notes. I mean, no one can replace Mr. O'Shea, but they made a good pick in choosing her. She's wonderful. I like the sheriff too. Mr. Tillis, though, I tried finding ways to like him at the beginning. I was super excited. I called him the preacher, admiringly, you know, from the research you did on him, and thought, well, he talks softly, carries a big stick, but no, it kind of just, I don't really see anything there. But what can you say about this hearing? Do you think they should have paroled after 20 years? it's you know, she starts off by saying, I took some woman's money in a Walmart parking lot. And it's like 30 years, man. But you know, you find out that she threatens to stab the woman, she threatens to take her baby. And there's just something, I guess, so terrifying about that the judge says no way. And I don't know what else to say. I think we saw today really an array of just different kind of hearings, the revocation hearings, and it's, you have the classic roach hearing that gets no time. I mean, what he does is he does this to his stepdaughter with his best buddy, and he gets 2 years. You have a woman who uses a knife that scares the hell out of someone, but the bottom line is that you have 2 lives that are altered. You have 2 lives that are forever altered. So one was a child and one was a mother. And why wouldn't you do the same thing for someone who does it to a child? Why wouldn't you give them a 30-year sentence? You make it make sense. It just doesn't make any sense. And what you have there is a plea deal for a first-degree robbery where you have now 30 years. Now, I imagine that maybe the DA said, I'm going to give you a first-degree robbery. You'll probably get, you know, on the lower end of the sentencing guidelines. And then the judge probably heard the victim impact statement and said, no, you took the first degree. But she never appealed, because if she appealed, we'd have something to read through. So, you know, she wasn't sophisticated enough to appeal. I don't know how else to explain it. But today actually had a lot of great hearings on the docket. Sometimes you have days where there's not much, and sometimes you have days where I don't know what to pick. And we'll have a few more that are coming out that I'll share with you soon. Thank you, Richard, for putting this all together. We're going to go head over to Mandu 2 to watch a Connecticut parole hearing. If you're not familiar, second channel, we run parole hearings out of Connecticut, out of Iowa, which Iowa is terrifying. I don't recommend you watching any of those. We have Illinois, which is surprisingly really tough on crime. And then we have Utah, which is hit and miss. But I saw a few Utah hearings today that were just insane. One about a Utah woman who killed 2 people. She was leaving the festival, Ocella, what's that festival called that everyone goes to? And a lot of it's caught on camera. It's caught on camera at the scene of the accident, in the police station. So we're gonna have a lot of body cam footage to go with that one. She killed 2 people just a couple of years ago. Big news story. So we'll bring that to you probably as soon as we get the results. And there was another one, the epitome of a psychopath, in my opinion. Wow. Anyways, you'll see, subscribe to channel 2 if you want to see those hearings. And while you're here, subscribe to channel 1. Help the channel reach 100,000 subscribers. We're almost there. We can use your help. And with that, I'll let you go.